Welcome back to the next lesson in transformation, and we're going to be talking about the last kind of transformation right now, which is the reflection. So just a recap, so far we have actually talked about scaling as well as your translation, right? The earlier example over here. So I'm going to just illustrate one more time. Let's say I have a graph like that. Translation is all about moving it up, down, left, right. Right? Scaling is all about stretching the graph upwards or sideways. Now, we are going to be talking about the last kind of transformation right now, which is the reflection. And as the name suggests, all you're doing is just using the axis as mirrors. You're flipping it with respect to the axis. So there's only two kinds of reflections. One is in the y-axis, and the other one is in the x-axis. Okay, so if you're going to flip with respect to the y-axis, right? For example, here, your graph is originally here, and then you treat the y-axis as a mirror. And then now your graph becomes here instead, right? This is the mirror reflection. You realize that what was changed is actually the x values, right? Let's say originally is 2 over here, and now it becomes -2. So when you want to reflect against the y-axis, you are moving things across the y-axis. So the thing that actually changed is the x value, right? You can see here, the x value changed. In fact, the y value didn't even change at all. So this one would be replacing x with -x, right? Originally it's 2, and then now it becomes -2. So that's the whole idea behind it. A lot of people, they think in the y-axis, then they think of replacing y with -y, right? But it doesn't work that way. And then for the other case, it's the same thing. Originally, let's say my graph, I'm just going to use the same example. Okay, originally, let's say my graph is here. Now I want to reflect in the x-axis. So you see that what changed was actually my y value, right? It just go opposite the x-axis like a mirror. So for this case, what I'm actually doing is that I'm replacing y with -y. So don't mix these two up. Okay, so let's say that this one over here is y equals to fx. Okay, the red dot is y equals to fx. So this is y equals to fx. So since I replaced y with -y in this instance on the right, this one over here would be y equals to -fx. Right, I would write the working below later. And since for the left side, I replace x with -x, this one would be -x over here. Okay, so you can see that the changes are actually, yeah, okay, very important. Very simple concept, but if you do it too fast, people tend to, mix it two up. So the proper presentation would be y equals to fx at the start. And then let's say we use example 1. And what we want to do is that we want to flip it against the y-axis, right? So what we do is that we replace x with -x to flip it against the y-axis. So below, we will just say reflect the graph y equals to fx in the y-axis. Or you can just say against the y-axis. Yeah, against the y-axis. Okay, so that's just one standard explanation. And then for the other one over here, it would be now you are replace y with -y, and therefore what you're doing is that you're reflecting the graph y equals to fx against the x-axis. Okay, so these two are the standard explanations for this, and that's about it for the reflection under transformation of graphs. Okay, so if that's it, we're gonna tackle this question right now. Feel free to pause this video and attempt this for yourself. I think it should be pretty easy to do this. If not, let's go through the answer for this. So the default graph is always y equals to fx, and we can see that this graph is now reflected against the x-axis, right? So when we reflect against the x-axis, we know that we replaced y with -y, because if the x-axis is the mirror, the x value doesn't change, the y value changes, right? Because you are flipping it like that against the x-axis. So the working, you can just write y equals to fx here first, right? Just a very simple one. And then what we did was that we transformed this into y equals to -fx, right? And we can see that we actually replace y with -y. So the answer that the question is looking for, how are these two graphs related, would just be, you got to contextualize your answer. So we can just say y equals to -fx is obtained when we reflect y equals to fx against the x-axis. And that would be the answer for this question over here. Okay, so that's it. If you got any other questions, feel free to reach out, leave in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.